Funko Pops. You either love them, or you think they're a plague on the earth. Now, I'm personally in the middle. I like some Funko Pops, namely the Sonic ones, and I dislike a lot of others, mostly ones where they try and do humans. But that's besides the point, because this video isn't talking about whether or not I like Funko Pops. It's reviewing the new set of Sonic ones, which has some pretty big releases. Will I like these new Pops? Will I think they're terrible? Will they have terrible quality control issues that ruin them from being good? I don't know. You'll have to watch and find out. Full disclosure, I'm recording this intro after reviewing the Funko Pop, so I know exactly which ones I like and which ones I dislike and the reasons for it, but I didn't want to ruin the surprise. Anyway, roll the intro. I have all 5 of the new Sonic Funko Pops that released probably about a month ago on Funko Europe. You've got Rouge, which is the first time she's released, Single Card, Omega, again, well, it's just his first release, Big is a first release, this is a new Supersonic, there are a couple others. This is the modern equivalent to the San Diego Comic-Con, I think that's what it was, 2022 Classic Supersonic, which I have it, it's actually back here, but I don't know if I will be able to, well, I can show it at some point in the video, but we'll wait until we get on Supersonic for that. And then also Treasure Hunter Knuckles. Rouge and Knuckles you can't really see on camera just because I don't have a massive desk, so I've kind of just had to work with what I have. But I guess we'll start with the least exciting ones, which will be Rouge and Knuckles. And we'll start with Rouge, because she is, in my opinion, the most boring. So, I have not taken Rouge out of the box yet. There are 2 that I have, but I will get onto that as they come. So, this is Rouge's first single release. She originally came in a 2-pack with Knuckles and herself, which I actually have both of the figures here for comparison's sake. Now, I've just taken her out of the box, as you can see. She comes with a stand, and obviously the pop. Now, that is some pretty bad quality control on mine. As you can see, her blue is smudged off of her eyelash. She's got a little like glob of glue that's left over there, and some grey, I think they're paint, maybe it's probably the vinyl underneath. No, it's glue. It's like dirty glue on top. I believe it's just on the face, but that is a bit disappointing. Obviously, it's quite common for Funko Pops when they do a wave, they focus on like usually 1 or 2 characters that get the best quality control. The last wave they did was the one with Soap Shoe Sonic. And as you can see here, I've got the flocked one. Very, very detailed. Right, very good. No errors on mine that I can see at all. Except like a tiny little bit where the flocking is poking up there. But that's nothing to lose sleep over. Whereas, my shadow, which I have here, very dusty. I need to dust my figures more. This top part where the red is, you can't really see it, but you can kind of push it in slightly. It's poking out the top in a way it shouldn't. And his eye as well, like his eye and muzzle aren't connected completely. Like it's just, yeah, that was a common issue. Most people who own one that I've asked have had the same issue. But anyway, back to Rouge. Obviously, I've just commented on the issues, and I will get the old Rouge to compare, who's also very dusty. Sorry, Rouge, I don't mean to let you get all dusty. So, this is the new one, this is the old one. I'll hold them both up to camera. As you can see, slightly different poses. They are similar, but they are also different. Good input from me. This is probably my least favourite of the new wave, just because it is so similar to the old Rouge. Like, it's the exact same head, and all that really changed was the position of her arms, which I don't think is that big of a change. But I will say, considerably better quality control on the old one. They got quite lazy when it came to the newer Rouge. Obviously, do comment below if you've had any quality control issues with the new wave, if you do own it, because I know I'm not the only one that's had bad quality control when it comes to the new wave. That's about all I have to say for Rouge. I will pop her aside because that's kind of it. She's got fine paint, it's an alright pose, it's more unique than what they used to do for the Sonic Funko Pops, where they kind of just held something in their hand. But, you know, it's a Rouge Funko Pop. It's not bad, it's just, I think there's definitely better. Next, Treasure Hunter Knuckles, who I suppose you could say does go with Rouge, but I believe this is from Sonic Speed Simulator on Roblox. It's definitely interesting to get a costume from, like, what is just a spin-off game. But I suppose there aren't many outfits in the games to go off of, so you just kind of have to... Actually, no, I lied. SA2 has quite a few, but, you know, this is fine. I do like the way it looks in the box. But let's take him out and see if this one has any noticeable quality control issues. I'm just taking him out. Now, he doesn't have a stand, which probably means he won't need it, which is good. So, there he is, out of the box. Yeah, he stands fine. I actually didn't even test if Rouge stands without the stand, because sometimes they do not very well. I mean, she does. Like, there's no issue at all, but I suppose if they're going to give me the stand, I will use it. So, with the Knuckles, let's get a closer look. There's a couple scuff marks on this back dreadlock, but that's not really anything to worry about. Now his chest thing is slightly faded, it's kind of pinkish, but that's, I think most of the, yeah, that's just kind of how they print it on the Funko Pop, so that's fine. His face looks alright, I'm not noticing anything. Like, these circles aren't painted perfectly, but I wouldn't really expect them to. Slight chip in the paint on this fist, on his thumb, but I feel like I am being a bit overly critical, because generally, this one is very well done, and he's got a lot of detail, so I'm surprised they didn't mess up. Okay, and that is the only other mark I noticed, is just a little splodge of paint on the back of his shoe, but I think that's generally fine. Also, when it's the back of the figure, I think it matters less, because obviously you're not gonna show them off from the back. Now his head does twist like all Funko Pops, but you don't get much range of motion because it gets stuck on his hand. But that's fine, because you only really need a pose like that. Oh, compare him to the old Knuckles. So this is the Knuckles that came in the 2-pack. And he leans very forward, I've noticed. This one could have done with having a stand, I won't lie, because he's quite wobbly. You can notice he's quite a bit shorter in the old release, because obviously he's in a different position. Now, I do have one other Funko Pop I can compare to, but I can't take... I could take him out of the box, but I prefer not to, because this is the Target Con 2022 flopped Knuckles. This was the first ever Knuckles they released after they redesigned the Sonic Funko Pops. And the issue is, you can kind of already see it. He's got a bit of a lean, and if you keep him out of the box, he kind of just starts to topple over. But this one is a lot closer to Treasure Hunter Knuckles than the other one, just because they're both upright and they're in a similar pose. But I will say, I think in some ways I do prefer Treasure Hunter Knuckles, because I like the outfit, and it's nice to see a Funko Pop that isn't just the character in Funko Pop form. It's, you know, he's wearing a costume. So yeah, this old Knuckles, I mean, you can do this, which is quite funny, but he's not great. I never really liked this one all that much. I only bought the 2-pack for Rouge. Yeah, right. Pop Knuckles back there. I was going to put him aside. No, we'll just put him there. I think next we'll do Big the Cat. Now this is I believe this is a super pop. It's not a jumbo pop. He's classed as a super Funko Pop, which I don't really know what that means. I think it just means he's bigger, but he's not like jumbo size, because jumbo size Funko Pops are like, I believe they're like 12 inches tall, whereas this one, I'll get him out. There he is in all his glory. We love Big the Cat here. I've got to get his box back together, so I had to take it apart. There we go. There he is. He is, I would argue, one of the best looking of this wave, because I think the Funko Pop style kind of works for him. He's always been a bit kind of not blockier. I know he's quite round generally, but the blockier shapes work for him because he's a big fat cat. He's obviously got his fishing rod. Now I have taken this guy out of the box already. He's just been on display. And there's a couple marks on him, but that could have been from having him out and like getting dusty. And I think the Funko Pop eyes work for him. Obviously, I know normally Big the Cat has very small eyes, but I think this makes him look quite unthreatening and quite cute. And I like Froggy as well. Froggy looks very good on this figure. I didn't notice any marks on the paint. Like, there's a tiny bit of like glue there, but that's not even really noticeable. Obviously, his head does twist. You can actually get it round the fishing rod slightly, but I wouldn't really want to pose him like that anyway, because it looks a bit stupid. So we'll get his head back to where it's meant to be. He can sit there. Oh, as you can see, now that he's next to Knuckles, he's probably about an inch, maybe 2 inch, inch and a half taller than your average Funko Pop, which I suppose is why he's classed as a super and not a jumbo, because he's not big enough to be considered jumbo. Next we will do Omega. Now he is also a newcomer to the Funko Pop line. He is a Pop Plus, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't really understand what all these mean. Like, I know it's like they're different tiers of how good they are, but it's like the Supersonic is also a Pop Plus, and he's got like emeralds around him. And then this is another Funko Pop I bought, which, you know what, maybe I will review it just to spice up from the Sonic a little bit. Vigilante Deku from My Hero Academia. They're all Pop Pluses, yet I don't really get what the unifying thing is, because Omega is just like slightly bigger and more detailed. Deku has like lightning around him, and Sonic has the emeralds. So I thought it would be like, if they have an extra thing around them, they're a Pop Plus. But then Omega came along and kind of got in the way of that, so God knows. Anyway, let's get him open. Now, I haven't opened Omega yet, and I am quite excited to do so, because he looks very, very good from inside the box. He does come with a little like cardboard cutout thing of Green Hill Zone that goes in the back of the box, but that's just what they do with Pop Pluses. Oh, he's quite heavy. He's got some weight to him. Now, once I've got this box back together and aside, so here he is in all his glory. Now his head is at a weird angle, unfortunately, and you can't turn it. I wish you could. He is just like a solid piece of vinyl that you can't really alter at all. Which obviously I understand, because it's like, it would probably be hard to make his head articulated. But it would have been nice to have the option to rotate it and like line it up with the nose. Because I think it looks he looks a bit strange, because he's obviously like got his head, I'd say, like a 45-degree angle. It's still a very good pop. I haven't really noticed. I mean, there's like a bit of paint bleed here and here where it's like not on his thing, but there's a little yellow mark there. It's like there's a couple issues with the paint, but nothing I would say is too glaring, especially if you're just like displaying him on a shelf like that. Like, if you're looking at that, you're not really going to notice any of the issues. I just also maybe wish they had a slightly cooler pose for him. Like, I know that it's a Funko Pop, but he is kind of just stood with his head turned slightly. So, not the most exciting thing in the world. But he is a very nice addition to the Funko Pop line. I believe we're also getting like SBO later this year, which will be cool. But I would love to see some IDW characters get brought into the line. But that's a different can of worms. But we have finally completed Team Dark in Funko Pops. So there's Shadow, and we'll use the Rouge from this line. So there we go. We've got Team Dark in Funko Pops, which I think is very cool. And it's just nice to have the complete team, because we have Team Sonic and now Team Dark. We have Team Rose now as well, because we just got big. And we do have Cream and Amy. So now all we're missing are the Chaotix, which we have none of. But apparently we're getting SBO later this year. So, fingers crossed. So there is Omega. Somehow, he's about the same weight as Big, despite being about an inch or 2 inches shorter. But that does not matter. He's just, I imagine it's because he's just one big solid piece. Like, the heads are usually hollow, and because he doesn't have a hollow head, he's just heavy. And there is Super Sonic with the Emeralds. Now, I have opened this. He is flocked, which I really like. The flocking is really nice. And he is kind of the modern equivalent to... it's the Funko Summer Convention of 2022, not San Diego Comic-Con, of the classic Supersonic in a very similar pose. And there are some things I prefer about the new one, some I prefer about the old one. The new one, love the Chaos Emeralds, love the flocking. I think I prefer the blank expression of the old one. I think it makes him look a bit more intimidating, but I understand this one is probably kind of meant to be mid-transformation, so I suppose it makes sense for him to have an open mouth. Oh, I'm knocking things over in the background. Right, let's get him open. This is also a Pop Plus, like Omega, as I previously stated. Now this one comes with a built-in stand, because he is flying, so that does make sense. Bent the bloody cardboard. Right, pop that back in. Let's get Sonic out. Now he is slightly dusty because he has been on display, but I don't know if you'll even really see it on camera because he is flopped, so it hides it quite well. Pop that back in there. Right, so this is the Supersonic. Let's get nice and close up. Yeah, you can see he is a bit dusty. That's not their fault. That's my fault for not dusting him. Now you've got the 7 emeralds around him, which look very, very good. I like the little sparkles they gave them out of the white vinyl. And you can tell it's Supersonic because he's got the soles on his shoes. The classic ones just have red. He had to bend his tail to the side slightly to make it fit behind the base, which is quite funny. He's doing he is doing his transformation pose, which looks very cool. Oh, there's I was like, there's 6 emeralds. The 7th is behind his head. Now, interesting thing to note, and I think this is the case with... No, it's not. So, here is the old modern Supersonic Funko Pop. This did have a chase variant. He also leans forward quite a lot, but that's fine. If you look at his back quills, he does have the regular shape of 4, like, pointing outwards, and then the 2 in the middle. Interestingly, this one is kind of a middle ground. It's almost like Sonic Adventure-esque. This confuses me a bit. Like, you can also see this spike points upwards more and that one goes more down, which is indicative of this being like Adventure, where the top spike droops down. Oh, sorry, Supersonic, dropping him on the floor. Like this being like an Adventure Supersonic, where his quills at the sides go up, that one still curves down. And also his back quill is very far down compared to the other one. Here's a side-by-side. So I think this might... I'm going to have to get the classic out to compare, because I'm a bit confused now. Bear with one more. So this is the first Supersonic they ever released, which, as you can see, is a lot more similar. I'll actually get all 3 of them lined up, because I can. So there's all 3 of them. And if we flip them all around, interesting. So yeah, they did just use the classic Supersonic as a mold for the new one and change his shoes. Now, is that lazy? Yes. Do I care? Not really. They're Funko Pops. They're very cheap. They're like £15. So I don't know if it's like indicative of just how they separate classic and modern Supersonic squills, or if this was purposely done like that so that it kind of lines up with how Adventure Supersonics went. I'm probably thinking too deeply. They are probably just lazy. I'm going to pop this guy away. But it is definitely interesting to note, and something I didn't actually notice until I was just filming. So that is good to know. I'm going to pop a glow-in-the-dark Supersonic away, and he will return to the background. I mean, not that you can see him, but he's back where he was. So I think this is much better than the old modern Supersonic. I think the old modern Supersonic kind of looks a bit... But the fact that he's permanently looking at the ground gives him negative points. So I definitely think this is an improvement. He's flocked, he's got the emeralds, he looks very good, and I didn't notice a single error on the paint, which is, obviously that's easier to do when you're flocking the whole thing. It's like, I mean, the shoes could have been painted slightly better, but they look fine for what they are, so I'll pop Supersonic there. And those are all the new Sonic Funko Pops. I would say I have put them in order from my least favourite to my favourite. Sorry to all the Rouge and Treasure Hunter Knuckles fans. I think they were the most boring of the bunch, because there's 2 new characters, a really good Supersonic. I never liked Rouge as a Funko Pop anyway, but this is just the same thing but with less quality control. These Sonic Funko Pops are very much worth your money. I would argue the Rouge you can maybe pass on if you've already got the 2-pack. The Knuckles is good because he's obviously he's a new Knuckles, and then these 3 are just like their new releases. The Supersonic is technically a redo of like an old figure, but it just looks so much better. So just buy that one if you're going to get any Supersonic. The Omega's really good. Big is amazing. They're just a very, very good wave. I would argue there were no misses in this wave except for Rouge. We don't talk about Rouge. She's got bad quality control. It's a bad Funko Pop. Like, it can go in the bin. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. So, roll the outro. And that was my review on the new Sonic Funko Pops. Honestly, they're pretty good. I'd say this is probably the best wave of Sonic Funko Pops they've done. 3 new characters, well, technically one of them isn't a character, it's a costume. But Treasure Hunter Knuckles, Big the Cat and Omega, that's a pretty good wave considering the last one only had 1 new character, which was Cream, I believe. So, it's definitely an improvement, and I do like the Sonic Funko Pops. I am excited to see what else they have planned for this year, because recently they've been on quite a good streak. Like, they had Metal Knuckles last year, Cream, Soap Shoe Sonic. Like, it's just, they're doing quite well. I do like seeing it, and I hope they continue to release good Funko Pops, which are hopefully higher quality than the Rouge I received. But yeah, that's about it. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel with the notification bell on, so you'll be notified whenever I upload. I mostly do review style content of all things Sonic, although mostly the merchandise. There will also be a few links in the description, such as the podcast channel me and my friend have made to talk about all things Sonic merch. We also have a Discord server to go along with it, which will also be linked in the description, so you can join that if you want to. I will also have my Blue Sky linked. Although I don't post on it often, it is nice to have in there, and I will put my Twitter despite the fact that I never post on it. I will also link my channel Angry Shadow, which is a parody of a surprisingly popular YouTuber called Angry Sonic, who makes slop content for children, which I find quite funny and like to parody. I have very good videos on there, such as reviewing a Sonic Christmas cracker and reviewing a Funko Pop of a Minion. But yeah, that's about all I have to say in this video, so peace.